Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. In our continuing series of introductory books, I'd like to present two really good ones. And I noticed that this one was published in 1999, so it's been 25 years, which is pretty amazing. So I can't recommend this book enough, The Power of Now. It's a beautiful text by Eckhart Tolle. He wrote it in a deluge of inspiration. Very valuable book. It's not hard to read. It's on Audible. So if you don't read the book, at least listen to the Audible version of it. I don't know how many different platforms it's on. And I strongly recommend it to just about anybody, but especially people that are starting out. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, if that weren't enough, he followed it up 6 years later with a beautiful book about humanity and the earth and our possibilities and our trajectory. And so I strongly recommend this book as well after you've read this book, though. This book is called A New Earth, copyright 2006. It's awakening to your life's purpose, but it also describes some of the possibilities for humanity if we raise our consciousness instead of just sliding back into the old, ugly, partisan warfare mode that we've known throughout history. So I can't recommend these two books enough. This one's also on an Audible version, and he reads it, so that's very nice. And Eckhart Tolle, like many people of knowledge, has power, right? And so, believe it or not, by just listening to these books, if you do it properly, you can be, irradiated, or you could be affected. You can take in some of the baraka that he is able to impart in his reading. So. Can't recommend these two enough. Power of Now and A New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. And then, since I was on that bookshelf, I saw this book too. I've mentioned this before. This is a book by one of my earliest teachers, Chagdud. God bless him. He's no longer with us in physical form, but this book called Gates of Buddhist Practice is a wonderful introduction to Buddhism. As taught, it says essential teachings of a Tibetan master. So he was a Tibetan master. He came over during the diaspora, didn't really speak English, but had good translators, and was a wonderful teacher, and gave us the real stuff, the real deal. So I recommend this book also, especially for those that are interested somewhat in Buddhism. The Power of Now and A New Earth, those are not particularly one religion or another. Okay, so now, let's see, what else do I have to say? Oh yeah, my schedule's a bit erratic now, and I apologize for that. I'll try and fill in with videos of I don't know, Nisargadatta or Krishnamurti or something, but yeah, so bear with me through that. All right, so that's the introductory part. Okay, here we go. What have you learned?
What have I learned? That my whole life is dictated by beliefs.
Interesting.
Some beliefs that
certainly your experience
that I don't know.
This is very important. This is a very important point. The quality of your life depends on your beliefs, or your absent beliefs, your understanding. And so people complain about their lives, not realizing that they can change their lives with sufficient insight. Ignorance is the cause of suffering, frankly. But it's not the kind of ignorance that we think of, you don't know algebra, you don't know math or something like that, you don't know French. We're talking about a deeper ignorance of the true status of our situation here on earth. And so, excuse me, I'm just going to take this moment to let people know that if you want to change your life, change your mind. It's all in your power. Now, you can't change your body, but that's okay. It'll be swapped out for you forthwith. So you don't worry about that. But regarding your mind and your mental suffering, which is 99%, 99.5% of your suffering is from the mind, why not make it a healthy and robust and satisfied and peaceful mind? It's not, we know how to do it. Okay? All right, keep going.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, beliefs are still thoughts, yet I do believe them. And it could simply be because my current environment just reinforces that belief.
What belief?
For example, one example would be belief like if you do better at job, or if you work harder, or if you are more creative, then you are entitled to greater gifts, greater rewards, greater appreciations.
Well, that's not
And you
just
can
your
see that
job. That's
from
the world. The world is like that. If you're out in the forest, right, and say two men go out into the forest, and they have, two men and their friends go out in the forest, and one group works like hell to chop down trees and build a nice solid cabin. They go through the trouble of making all the logs even, and they stack them up, and they order them in a certain way, and they think about what they're doing, and they work very hard, and they think about it, and they build a beautiful cabin with a thatched roof. Okay, they are rewarded the next time there's a storm. The other group, or the other man, who just does things, what's the easiest way to do it, right? We'll just use whatever dead wood is around, we'll just kind of flop it together. Well, they will not be rewarded when it starts. So these are laws of our world, not just corporate happenstance. Go ahead.
But is it though? Like, suppose the other guy who had a lot of skills and constructed a pretty good house, he's safe from storm. At the same time, the other guy who is a bit lazier may just decide, okay, we safe for him, and he gets away with the weather or the storm. He weathers the storm. So, like, it depends. That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. And even if that were the case, how do you differentiate whether it's a belief versus whether that's how society works?
It's not just society. Forgive me for asking this. Have you heard the story of the three little pigs?
No.
Ask the AI to give you a one paragraph summary of the three little pigs. Three little pigs, see? A teaching koan for Americans and Westerners, for Easterners too. Read it slowly. A one paragraph summary of the three little pigs.
Yes.
Teaching masters.
Three big brothers set out to make their own way in the world. Each decides to build a house, but they choose different materials and approaches. The first little pig, being lazy and in a hurry, builds his house quickly using straw. The second little pig puts in a bit more effort and builds his house using sticks. The third little pig, being the most industrious, takes time to build a sturdy house of bricks.
Bricks, okay, go.
The big bad wolf,
the big bad wolf
comes along and visits each house in turn. As the straw house, he huffs and puffs and blows it down easily. The first pig runs to his brother's stick house. The wolf follows and blows down the stick house too. Both pigs flee to their brother's brick house.
To the brick house,
At the
okay.
brick house, yeah, the wolf huffs and puffs but can't blow it down. He tries to enter through the chimney, but the third pig has a pot full of boiling water waiting.
Ooh.
The wolf falls and runs away. The story ends with all three pigs safe in the brick house, having learned the value of hard work and proper planning.
Bravo. Now, have you ever heard that story?
Yeah, just now.
Okay. So I'm sure they have the same story in India, in a different, told in a different way. But so this is a story that we teach little kids. We should teach them more often, because it's true. It's not about society. This is about nature. This is a law of the universe, pretty much. I don't know the universe, the law of this planet, anyway.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that house, that brick house, the third house, it lasts longer. Yeah. So the next year comes around and the guy's just sitting there chill in front of the fireplace, enjoying his hot soup or whatever. Well, the other pigs have to go out and build a new house. So that's not just society. That's not religion. That's just the way things are.
Yeah. So for that.
So the question we need to ask, each one of us needs to ask ourselves, is which little pig are we? And then we can understand. Forgive me, I fractured a rib recently, and it's, when I cough, it's painful. So which little pig are we?
I hope the third one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do I. Now let's go back to your question. What's the question? Or what was the statement about yourself? And remember that. Remember, you're the third pig, not the first or the second one. And treat yourself accordingly.
Yeah. Then essentially, what are beliefs then? Isn't this still a belief, although a pretty good one? The belief to work hard. And because of you working hard, because my reasoning was, I have seen people
that's a
who
belief,
have not
that's a
worked
constructive
hard.
belief.
Yeah.
That's a positive belief. That's a belief that will protect you and not harm you. It's been handed down through the ages, right? I mean, maybe not in India, but in the West. I don't know how old that story is. But we get the same story with you've heard of the ant and the grasshopper, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the grasshopper's just like playing fiddle all summer while the ant's building a nest. And then when winter comes, what is the grasshopper going to do? He's going to freeze to death. And so he does.
But I have seen people who didn't do hard work and still get it. Like, I'm not going to say this is wrong.
Yeah. There are exceptions. By the way, this book, which maybe I'll talk about sometime soon, is full of stories with wisdom in them. And they're a lot more beautiful than Three Little Pigs and a lot more powerful. And they cover a lot more of the nuances. So you ask about what about the pigs that just get lucky? Well, that's described in the first story of this book, I believe, the story of the three fishes. So yeah, there is luck. It's not an absolute rule. But sooner or later, the house always wins. I mean, you go to Vegas and you can win in your first hand, But if you stick around any length of time, the house is going to win it back. Life is like that. And so it's just a better life if you accept the reality. You can't hide from realities of this world. The bigger problem most young men have, and some women, is they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what the meaning of life is. They don't know what and without that, you're lost.
Yeah, this was like there are way more beliefs, not just this. Other belief is if I can imagine the worst case scenario, like me having a heart attack or stroke or anything, then I can prepare better,
Yeah, no.
better prepare for the situation.
Oh, really? How?
Maybe just emulating what would happen in that case. Then when it actually happens, you know how it feels, that it will
No, you don't.
alleviate some of the symptoms.
No. You're trying to rationalize neurotic obsessions. You don't know what it feels like to have a stroke and be paralyzed on both sides and not be able to speak.
I know that. It's like being stuck in a coffin
No, it's not.
and not being able.
Not necessarily. No, see, this is just morbid. This is called morbid thinking. It gets you nowhere. It does you no good.
But why? I still don't. I know these are
Why don't you
thoughts,
prepare for
but
something you
I
know
still
you're going
believe
to have, which is old age? See, the
what
chances
I
of having a
have is
stroke
right
or a heart
now.
attack or cancer or whatever, all these worst case scenarios, sure, those are possibilities, right? But why not instead spend your time on something like what you know is going to happen for sure, 100%, right? Because you
Yeah,
can
death.
waste your life worried about what comes at later. Did you see the little YouTube I sent out on Aristotle and time?
No.
Oh, you should look
See
at that
that.
on X.
Okay.
Basically, we imagine things in the past. It's not real. We imagine things in the future. They're not real, right? And Aristotle noticed that what we call reality is like the past bumping up against the present, and there's an interval right in the middle between the past and the future. I mean, right? You gotta go listen to it. It's kind of fun. And so we spend all our time in these imaginary places. You know what Mark Twain said? He said, "There's been many catastrophes in my life. Thank God most of them never happened." And so that's just
I
that's a wasted life. And so that's what this book is designed to take care of. Reread this book then. Or listen to this book.
no, but
You plug it in your
I
ears and just listen to it all day until you get it. There's no reality except the here
I
and the now.
understand.
Go ahead.
I agree with that. I understand that. I know those are just thoughts about past and future are just thoughts. And it's like the thought is real and that's happening right now. It tries to point to past and future, but the contents are not real. Yet I believe those contents every
Who
time.
believes them?
Like, that's a good question.
Yeah, there's nobody there to believe it.
How should I say?
See, you're
It's
building. See,
not necessarily believing it.
this is where Dharma comes in. All right. You're suffering because you're thinking about what could happen in the future. Some people suffer because they regret or they have resentment or whatever, or they can't let go of something that happened in the past. Both of those kinds of suffering are eliminated with Dharma. And the first step in Dharma is finding out, well, it's not the first step, but pretty early, you have to find out what and who you are because you're not what you imagine yourself to be. So that's if you could take that first step, then you wouldn't have these problems.
So a thought popped up for that when you asked
Whose
who
thought
am
was
I,
it?
who's suffering.
Whose thought was it?
No one's.
All
It
right,
just
so a
popped
thought
up
appeared.
in my
Okay,
awareness.
a thought appeared like a cloud in the sky. Okay, go ahead. Go. What's the thought?
So that thought essentially says there is an illusion of me feeling something.
Yeah.
When a thought arises, at the same time, my body gets tensed up or it feels constricted and it imagines what I felt when something bad happened and tries to say, yeah, if I were to have a stroke, this is what it would feel like. And because of this thinking, it generates new emotions in my body, as if it feels like it's like just a sequence of thought, emotion that I, for some reason, think
Not for some reason.
that I am facing.
Because you don't know any better.
I
It's
had
called
another
type 1 ignorance. It's
realization as
because you
well.
don't know any better, right? You don't know any better. If I went to some place, some very, 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 very primitive tribe, and say the reason it rains is because you had bad thoughts about your mother, and they believed me, that would be very maladaptive, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have equally delusional thinking. I mean, what can you do? I mean, you go and you do your best to say, hey, it's not raining because you had thoughts about your mother or your father or your brother or anything like that. It's raining for reasons altogether different than that. You need to understand. And they go, what do you mean? This is what I believe. And I get emotional when I think about it. It's called just primitive thinking, man. You gotta wake up. You gotta inform yourself. You got to learn more. See, because if you use a child's mind and you grow up into an adult body, then things don't work out well. And most adults are frankly children, sleepwalking through the world. Except they're not as innocent as children.
Yeah.
But they're sleepwalkers and they suffer. You're sleepwalking and so you suffer.
Like, another insight that I had, I don't know whether this
well,
is
just
correct
one
or
moment
not,
before we
to
do
be
that.
honest, I don't
You're identifying with your thoughts.
Yes.
But the thing that's identifying, you have no idea what it is, but it makes you suffer. All right? Just get that clear in your mind. And for someone like you, a very bright man, this book is recommended. It won't be easy, but it's recommended. It's beautiful. Okay, so go ahead. What was the next thing?
Next thing was, so there is no ego as such or some separate I. It's just a sequence of thoughts that creates an illusion that I exist. But at a particular time, it's just one thought that's coming. Another thought pops up from, like, a sequence of thought that pops up around that same I, and
how do you know that they're around the same
that
I?
The word I. Whenever something bad happens, whenever I imagine that.
Oh, when something bad happens, that's got to be your I.
Yeah, the feelings that I have.
That's different. The feelings are different than the thoughts. Or are they? Or are they the same thing? Does the feeling generate the thought, or does the thought generate the feeling? And why do you say it has to do with you? You don't even know who you are. And you're saying, I know this, but it has to do with me. You're working from a recipe for misery, my friend. Don't take your thoughts so personally. Don't take them personally at all.
But how can you not?
By understanding where they come from and understanding who and what you are. And looking around you and say, hey, do other people have these thoughts?
Maybe, may not be.
No, of course
and
they
I don't
do.
know how they...
Of course they do, and they suffer. Humanity suffers under the collective weight of our collective consciousness. But we don't have to.
But do they? I don't think they are as anxious as me. I see them.
That's because you don't know anything.
Normally.
That's because you don't know. Take it from an ex-psychiatrist. And reread this book too. A New Earth. Because you can live in a new earth if you wanted to. One where all that foolishness just passes by like birds in the sky. It comes and goes. Do you think you're the only person that's afraid of having a stroke or a heart attack or being paralyzed or?
No.
Okay, that's
No.
it's almost a human universal. But what good does it do? And why be motivated by fear
Nothing.
when you could just as easily be motivated by love, which is more powerful anyway? Love conquers fear.
Because
Fear does not conquer love. Jesus proves that.
I guess fear happens because of separation, but no, I don't want to go there. I'm just spouting nonsense there. I
Where you imagine you're separate from the rest of the world, but you can't find a place where the boundary is.
Yeah, I can see them as an idea, but I still don't
You can't live on
see
ideas.
them for a fact.
You can't live on ideas.
Yeah.
The other place that, quite frankly, is the Avatamsaka will take care of this for you too. The Flower Ornament Scripture, which is like almost perfectly designed for the 21st century. It'll be all right, dude. I mean, how long do you want to suffer? That's all.
Not a lot, but
Well,
I still
let's
don't
find.
know.
Let's see.
Like, other thing was, how do you tackle the sense of doubt in everything? Like, I won't be able to achieve an awakening, or I doubt whatever we discussed earlier.
Your video has. I mean, the sound came out, but your video's frozen. That's all right. It's probably just the signal. So, how do you get rid of the doubt? Do
Not
it.
get rid of the doubt because.
Just do it.
Sorry.
Just do it.
How?
How do you get rid of the
How
doubt
can
that
you
you'll
do
ever
that?
run the 4-minute mile?
Sorry.
How do you get rid of the doubt that you'll ever run the 4-minute mile? A mile in 4 minutes is pretty fast, very fast for a lay person. I mean, and for the longest time, nobody thought they could beat that. But then once one person did it, everybody did it. The way you get rid of the doubt is you understand more, you know more, you understand more.
But yet Zen says not to understand more, or like no. I think
Yeah, they say that after you've essentially memorized the sutra. Yeah, after the sutra's so deep in your bones that you can't ever get it out.
So a question here: if there is sense of doubt in everything, and there is doubt that will I ever achieve awakening, then how can you proceed with all these things?
That's not doubt. That's impatience. That's lack of patience and rationalization. See, because you say, well, I've got doubt, so I'll never get there, so I won't do anything. I won't work as hard as I need to. I won't dedicate myself. I won't really dedicate my intent because I know better. But you can't even tell me who you are.
No, I did not. I did not say I know better. It's more about like there is always the possibility, and that possibility is huge that I will never achieve.
No, if you knew more, you'd know that you are already awakened. You're just standing in your own way. You're totally awakened. You're just standing in front of the light and blocking it. It's not something you're going to get. It's something you have to get rid of. You're not trying to get enlightenment. You're not trying to get awakening. You're trying to get rid of the stuff that's blocking you from being and seeing it. Those are two different things.
I don't know. Like everyone's saying that, I understand that. Like it's non-seeking. I don't need to seek because it's always there in present.
What?
But
again, you're like someone who's standing with a piece of cardboard over his head, saying, "I can't see the sun. I can't see the sun. I'll never see the sun." That's the analogy to what you're doing. That's not doubt. That's like ignorance. So you just need to remove the ego, which is blocking the sun or the understanding. But instead, you'd rather do crazy things.
You're saying that as if it's really easy to move the ego, and
It's certainly
I
easy
feel like
to
I
be.
see
It's
through the
certainly
egos.
not difficult to begin the process and start working on it diligently.
Yeah.
But if they're not interested, then you're not interested, and then there's lots of people who are not interested, and they stay asleep their whole life, and they fear death and all kinds of other crazy stuff.
Yeah, no.
No one can
It will only get
motivate you for you.
I'm in a limbo state in the sense that it will only get worse for me from now on, and I don't know what to do.
Yes, you do. You just don't want to do it. You know what to do.
Like what? I am doing it.
Okay.
I am
All
reading Avatamsaka.
All right.
I
What
am
stage are you in? What page are you on?
Page 250.
Okay, let's read a little bit. Oops. That was my machine just spontaneously made that noise. Start with some lands have a Buddha.
Yeah. Some lands have a Buddha and some lands do not. Some have just one Buddha, some have countless Buddhas. If a land has no Buddha, then a Buddha from another world will mystically appear there to manifest the works of Buddhas. Dying in heaven and descending in spirit, residing in a womb and being born, vanquishing demons and becoming enlightened, turning the wheel of unnecessary teaching. According to the inclination of beings' minds, Buddha manifests various forms, teaching them the sublime truth in accordance with each of their faculties. In each Buddha field, a Buddha appears in the world, spreading billions of years, expounding unexcelled truths. If beings are not vessels of truth, they cannot see the Buddhas. If any have the will, they see Buddha everywhere.
Stop right there.
In each individual.
Okay. Two things. Well, I mean, the last sentence just kind of says it. If beings are not vessels of truth, they cannot see the Buddhas. If any have the will, they will see Buddhas everywhere. So do you have the will?
Yes.
Okay, then don't what you're worried about. What are you worried about?
I have a few questions here.
Okay, good.
First, maybe because I doubt my yes here.
You're what?
I doubt that I may not have will. I may not have the will. I'm saying it. Just I want to say that I have the will. Just for this pipe dream that I will awaken. But I may not have that will. That's what my doubt says.
Okay. All right, well then just suffer. I mean, just keep suffering. And we don't, there's nothing to do here. Just keep suffering. I mean, suffering's what brings most people to this path anyway. But if you'd rather suffer, then go ahead. I mean, it's a free universe.
That's the thing. I know there will be suffering, but I also don't know. It's like jumping. It's like doing this Dharma work is like doing things without any reason. It's like there is no proof or a way. It's like jumping into something I don't know what it will be.
Do you have
I don't know.
Okay, can you think of anything in life that's not like that?
there are a lot of things that are not like that.
Okay, good. Let's
Yes.
talk about it. What are they?
Really primitive example would be if you push something, then that object moves. Like simple Newton's laws.
Okay, that is silly. I'm talking about things in life. Life, work, relationships. Be serious.
Yeah.
Come on. Be serious. Don't waste time. So what in life is a guarantee that do you know how they will turn out?
Like you may know right now that how my life will turn out, whether I will awaken or not.
No,
I don't know.
We're looking for example. You said you don't want to get invested in this because you aren't sure how it will turn out.
Not necessarily that. I don't think I have a choice there, at least right now. But if you see in the negative sense, then it's easy to prove that something will fail. Yeah, it will fail. It will most probably fail. But
most probably fail.
To prove that something. Yeah. But if you want to do something good, where there is low chance of success, then there are no guarantees as such. There are no guarantees
in anything on this planet, in this universe.
One thing is that I'm aware of my present, that's for sure, but
Okay. All right, well then, if you're not interested, you should just take another path. No?
No.
Well,
I don't know whether there exist other paths.
I'm sure there do.
Other paths.
You can start drinking.
No, that won't
start
help.
Doing
that's
coke
like avoiding thing.
All right, well, you could study. Unfortunately, if you study science these days, you're going to end up in the same place. So I don't know. What are you trying to say, I guess? What are you trying to say? That you're special, you're different, you're very, very unique because you can't get enlightened because you can't wake up.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, you're definitely going to wake up. The question is, you'll probably be dead when you do it unless you make some efforts beforehand. How do you know you're not just rationalizing laziness?
But I am not lazy. I have been working.
Okay.
I'm not.
What's the problem? Tell me what the problem is.
I guess you are right. It's patience. It feels like I have been working at things and nothing's turned up. I can sense a few things. I can sense my ego. I can sense.
You can sense your ego?
Or I can feel my ego.
Tell me about it. Tell me what your ego feels?
It's not a thing.
Okay, so you can feel your ego. How big is your ego?
I don't know. I don't think so it's big at all. Or if it even exists.
But you can feel
it.
There
are just, the feelings that I have.
What if I told you that ego was just another thought?
Yeah, it is a thought.
Okay. Can you feel your other thoughts?
Yeah, I am aware of it right now.
Okay.
And some of these thoughts lead to like feelings of pride or feelings of fear, even though when there is nothing in the room right now. At least nothing dangerous. So why am I fearful of anything? It's just that I just believe that thought. I literally think that situation, the scenario portrayed by that thought is happening right now, right in front of my eyes. Like when I imagine when I'm having a stroke or anything, I literally imagine myself like being restricted and can't do anything. But I know it's not real. Like it's just its content is not real. What I mean to say, like, I know thought is real. And I don't know where to go from here.
Are you here now in this moment? Completely 100%? Why do you need to go anywhere?
For security?
Because you're afraid. Living in fear, that's not very much fun, is it?
Not at all.
Well, wouldn't you like to put that burden down?
I would. But I don't know. You see the word but. It always comes in. The doubt.
Until it stops.
But why? Why do I identify with these thoughts?
I don't understand why you don't doubt your mind and its reliability.
Because it gave me security.
Did it? When did it give you security? Without you running off and doing like a video game or something to distract you from your suffering. When did your mind give you security?
Yeah. Avoidance. When I feel like something's bad going to happen, then it suggests me to just do something or avoid it, and it reduces that feeling. So,
but that's not your mind. That's not your mind. That's a distraction from your mind.
But that distraction is still in the form of thoughts. Thoughts saying to do that, like do something else.
Okay, but some part of you realizes that that's not going to work for very long.
I kind of partially realize it. That's why I'm not running away, but...
What are you running away from?
I would say bad feelings. The feelings of apprehension. The raw feeling of apprehension that I may die.
No, you're not may die. You're going to die. You're going to die, just like I am. And there's no may about it.
Right now.
How about instead of running away from something, run towards something? It's the same thing. But one is very unpleasant and gets you nowhere, and the other one gets you everything.
So what do you mean by go towards it?
Go towards truth. Go towards truth. Go towards reality instead of running away in a mental fabrication.
So what I want to say is, suppose you are having a feelings of apprehension that you will die, then how do you go towards it?
What's wrong with dying?
What's that? I thought about it. It's like there is no wrong. Like, even I was thinking about it, like even if there is reincarnation, there is no proof what my previous life was. So it's like my current life is fully self-contained. So even if I die, nothing happens. If I wanted to, if there were some aims that I wanted to achieve, and if it goes unfulfilled, like who is there to feel regret about when that person dies? So it's like everything's self-contained right now. That's what I feel.
That's what you think. Okay, so there's no problem with dying then. in your, I mean, all this reincarnation, all this other stuff, I'm not going to comment on, but so there's no problem if you die.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know what reincarnation still
Okay,
is
skip the
thought
reincarnation.
in the future.
That's not what's important. What's important is your relationship towards death.
I guess yes. Not guess. I would say yes. I'm more
yes,
afraid
what?
of pain preceding. That I'm not afraid of dying.
Okay, good. So what are you afraid of?
Right now, I would say the pain that will precede my death.
Okay, the suffering, let's say.
Yeah, the suffering.
What is the largest cause of suffering?
Mind.
Yeah.
Mind
itself. So you can't be really afraid of it, or you do something about it.
I can't really be afraid or do something about it.
You would do something about it if you're really afraid. Either that, or you're playing ignorant or something. I'm not sure, but it's like you want to remain a kid. You want to, like, somehow or another say, I'm a victim. You want somehow or another not to stand on your own 2 feet and say, hey, this is my situation. My mind causes me endless suffering. And if I don't do something about it, I'm just going to continue to suffer all my life. It's like you don't want to face that reality. You don't want to stand up and take responsibility for it.
But I don't know. I do that. I am applying in effort, and maybe I am not. I don't know.
Okay, then say you don't know. If somebody doesn't know, what I typically would say was find out, no? All of this is up. All of this is up to you. All of it. And so, I mean, like I say, the vast majority of people just stay asleep. And if you want to join them, obviously they'll welcome you with open arms. Ignorance loves company. But if you decide you don't want to live that way, and I think you may have already decided that, I think you're just regressing for some reason I'm not sure of. I don't think you're going to be able to regress very far. But, who knows? I'm surprised by things every day.
Yeah.
But nobody can stand on your own 2 feet for you. That's what I'm saying. And in this life, you have to face fear. You can't just wallow in it. Well, you can, but that's a horrible life, man. Why would you want to do that? So you learn to face fears, not run away from them by sticking your nose in a video game or going and watching some movie or something like that. You have to face it, and then you'll see, hey, it wasn't that big a deal all along. You're not afraid of death. That's good. If that's true, is that true?
I think so.
Okay, well, find these things out, man. These are important questions. What are you on this earth for, anyway? What are you here for? It can't be to play video games. I've refused to believe that.
Yeah.
And it can't be to, like, work for somebody else so they can get their, CEO salary. So that can't be it, at least in my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong. So what are you here for? This magnificent, marvelous, miraculous universe. When you see, fear causes everything to contract. It's like physical pain. Everything contracts around fear and physical pain. So you're contracted now. Fair?
A lot.
Fair?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now it's time to breathe out. It'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with doubt, but there is something wrong with obsessive doubt when it blocks you from doing what you need to do. Any other questions before we stop? Any Dharma questions?
No.
Okay.
Like,
all right, my
I
friend.
had
Well,
one more.
Go ahead.
I had one. So it's like I've been listening to others waking up, doing mundane things like tying shoelaces and sometimes having no context or no spiritual practice, like Eckhart Tolle.
Oh,
And
believe me, that guy had a lot of prep. That guy had been studying philosophy, including Meister Eckhart, for years and years.
Would it feel like
He's a German philosopher.
grace
My
chooses?
God, these guys, the German idealists, those guys are the hardest core and most rigorous, intellectually rigorous philosophers there are. And even their mystics are like that. Read some Meister Eckhart. Yeah, what are you feeding your brain, by the way? What are you feeding your mind?
No, these things themselves, these instant zen, or sometimes
Well, you
there's
got to feed it a
frustration.
sufficient dose, because garbage in, garbage out, right? So you read these things about people awakening without doing anything. Yeah, that can happen. It's
So
very,
it feels
very
like
rare.
grace chooses them randomly. That's what it feels. But
What?
then it feels like grace chooses them randomly. And then another thought pops up that says, "Will I ever be chosen?" It's as if I have
See how
no
you're making yourself the passive
volition for
recipient?
that.
See how you're making yourself
Yeah.
just the passive recipient? God helps those who help themselves. Maybe somebody somewhere did win the lottery. I don't know who they are, frankly. But Eckhart Tolle is not one of them. Rupert Spear is not one of them.
No.
Thomas Clary is not one of them. I can't think of anybody. I mean, conceivably, the Maharishi, the one whose brother died when he was a teenager, but he's so saturated in Indian culture that it's the same difference. What was it? Sir Ramana Maharshi.
Yeah.
He was a very
No,
devout man, though, beforehand, and certainly Nisargadatta was not one of them. So why do you want to put yourself in the category of people who win the super lottery, if that even occurs, when you can get the same thing just by working? It's like someone who wants to get rich, but they don't want to work. They want to win. They want to win the lottery. What do you say to people like that?
Yeah, that's a pipe dream.
Can you help
That
them?
would
Can those
happen.
people be helped? If their strategy in life is to hope that they win the lottery, instead of learning something useful and working and getting a job and and doing something useful in the world for themselves and others.
I mean, I can say them not to do those things, but at the end of the day, they have to do it themselves.
Right. At the end of the day,
Have to
you must
decide.
do this yourself, my friend. And if you're flagging, it's because you're flagging, not because anybody else or anything else. Reality is reality. It's always there, and you have it within you. It's not something you're trying to get. The clear light of awareness is something that's inherent, I say, in you, of you, about you. It's everywhere. And the only thing that's standing in the way is you. So, all right.
Yeah.
If there's an indictment, I think you're going to end up realizing it's on you, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. But when you think about this honestly, and you don't shy away, and you aren't like a little kid, and you really analyze the situation, I think you're going to find that you're the one who's been lacking in patience or diligence or discipline or effort or insight or even generosity. Have you read all of these intro books?
Yeah, the Eckhart Tolle ones, yes.
Read this one again. Just put it in your earplugs and read it. a new earth. Why not? Give yourself a boost. And I could give you a boost if you were in any state for it. Right? Your video froze up. Looks like I've lost the signal. So I'm going to sign off, folks.
Yep.
Okay, your video froze up.
Yes.
Anything else before we stop?
No.
You're the conductor of this orchestra. You're the engineer on this train. You're the pilot of this aircraft. You know, you're the one in charge. And if you start looking for someone else to steer your airplane for you while you're in the air, you know, don't be surprised if bad things happen. I mean, nothing worse than the normal misery that humans live in. You know, who was it? Thoreau? Most men live lives of quiet desperation. Or maybe it was, I don't know. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. As a psychiatrist, I'll tell you that is true. Now, if a man wants to join those ranks, no one's going to stop him. But I would live a life of quiet desperation. Okay, sir?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yes.
Vaya con Dios. Or we'll see you. Hasta luego.